Just the story, raw and bare. I wrote this at 17. I won a national contest. I never knew. I found the letter 30 years later. This is the essay that could have changed my life. Please read it now. She leaned back and exhaled. Like she had been holding that breath since girlhood. She did not say much after that. But over the next few days, I watched her more closely than I had in years. I noticed how she touched her old notebooks. The way someone might handle the pages of a holy book. I saw her check her phone more often. Each time, she seemed to hope for nothing, and brace for everything. I remember our early years, back when she was waiting tables and I was teaching part-time. And picking up contract work to pay off school debt. She was always the calm one. The realist. She never dreamed big, never wasted time on what-ifs. I used to think that was strength. I used to admire it. Now I realized it wasn't strength. It was survival. A habit built from being let down. She had built her life not by chasing joy, but by removing disappointment from the list of options. That was the kind of thing that shaped a person. Before you ever met them. The day after she posted the essay. The comments started. First, 1. Then 3. Then 50. People said they cried. Others said they saw themselves in her, girls who had been caretakers. Too young, boys who had missed chances. Because of a single adult's decision. Readers who had never heard a story told in words. So simple and true. She did not smile when she read them. But I could tell they mattered. That same night, she told me what her mother had said. She remembered the letter. Emma said, her voice almost flat. She remembered reading it. Said she was happy. For me at first. Then scared. Said she thought it would mean I would leave. I waited. She said she could not do it alone. Said I was all she had. Said if I had gone, the whole house would have fallen apart. I asked if she apologized. Emma shook her head. Not really. She just said she did not know what else to do. That she meant well. That she thought maybe I would not win. And then, when I did, she panicked. She hid it. She kept meaning to tell me. But the weeks passed. Then the months. Then it felt too late. I stayed quiet. There was nothing I could say that would make that hurt less. She made me small, Emma said finally. Her voice cracking for the first time in days. On purpose. It was not anger I heard in her voice. It was heartbreak. The kind that does not come from a single betrayal, but from the realization that a whole version of your life had been pushed off course by someone who was supposed to protect it. Later that night, I pulled out a box of old photos from our closet. I flipped through the ones from the first years of our marriage. Wearing a name tag and speaking to a room full of people who wanted to hear her words. She never lived the life that letter had promised. She lived a different one. And maybe that life had good in it. But now she knew, with painful clarity, that it had not been the only one possible. I watched her read and reread her own essay, as if trying to remember what it had felt like to write it. She was trying to reclaim the voice she had once trusted, and lost. That same day, she told me something else. She said, when I was 17, I believed. The world wanted to hear the truth. I really thought. If I told it well enough, someone would listen. Then she paused. I stopped believing that. After the letter never came, I thought. I must have been wrong. She was not wrong. The world had been listening. The world just had not been allowed to answer. Now, at 47, she was being heard again. Not because of a prize. Not because of a platform. But because the truth, when spoken plainly, has a way of echoing. A few days later, she received a message from a young teacher. In another country. He said he had printed the essay. And read it aloud to his students. He said. One of his students cried and asked if she could write a story about her own brother. He thanked Emma for giving his students a way to speak about their homes. Emma read the message. In silence. Then she closed her laptop. She didn't say anything for a while. Finally. She said, that is worth more than a scholarship now. I believed her. But I also saw the flicker in her eyes that said, it still hurts. A few weeks passed. The post reached over 100,000 readers. A podcast producer reached out. An editor asked if she had more writing. She said no. But maybe soon. I began to wonder what it meant to love someone who had been shaped by absence. I had always loved Emma for her steadiness, for her quiet strength. But now I was starting to understand that she had once been loud, at least on the page. That she had once tried to shout her story into the world and been silenced. That silence had followed her and shaped her. And now it was breaking. I asked her if she wanted to write again. She said she did not know. That maybe. That she had forgotten how. I told her I did not think she ever had. That night, she opened a blank document. For the first time in years. She did not write much. Just a few lines. But I saw the way her fingers paused above the keys, like they were touching old piano notes, half forgotten. She was remembering the sound of her own voice. Some people heal loudly. They throw away everything, change cities, write memoirs, cut ties. Emma was not like that. Her healing was quieter. Slower, like water slowly rising in a dry riverbed. You did not see the change until the whole shape of the land had shifted. After she posted her essay, and the comments rolled in, and the messages arrived like old birds finally finding the right window. Emma did not become someone new. She became more of herself. Or maybe she returned to someone she had almost forgotten. She did not quit her job. She did not burn bridges. She did not yell at her mother again. But she did something far more powerful. She wrote another piece. It was shorter, more precise. It was not about the letter this time. It was about growing up invisible, about becoming the adult everyone leaned on. But no one truly saw. About how easy it is, especially for girls, to be praised for their silence and punished for their needs. She titled it, Reliable Girl. When she read it to me, my chest tightened. Because I realized that is who I had married. That is the woman I had built a home with. The reliable girl. The one who made life easier. For everyone around her, me, her brother, her mother. Even our neighbors, but who had learned too early not to expect anything in return. She did not need to say it. I saw it in the way she softened when people online thanked her. I saw it in how she looked at her younger self in old photos. Now with recognition instead of shame. She was finally treating that girl not as a failed version of who she could have been, but as someone worth defending. The second essay was shared nearly as widely as the first. A school invited her to do a guest reading on Zoom. She agreed, but insisted she did not want to be called a motivational speaker. I am just telling the truth, she said. That is not motivation. That is survival. I sat next to her that day, just off camera. I watched a group of students, mostly teenage girls, listening with that kind of still attention adults rarely earn. When she finished, a few of them clapped. One cried. One boy raised his hand and said, "That made me think about my mom." After the call ended, Emma closed the laptop and stared at the blank screen. Her hands were shaking a little. But she was smiling, not a big public smile, but a private one, small and certain. She did not need validation. She needed to be heard. And now she was. Her relationship with her mother changed, but did not break. There were no grand apologies. No dramatic breakdowns. Just a kind of weathering. A mutual understanding that something would always sit between them, like a sealed door. Neither of them wanted to open again. But one afternoon, Emma came home from a short visit and told me something. She said, "The essay's framed on the wall in the kitchen." I blinked. What essay? The first one. Carrying my brother. She printed it out. Put it in a white frame. It's hanging next to the family photos. That was her mother's way. No words. Just quiet placement. Emma did not say if she felt comforted by that or not. She just told me. Then she went to make tea. But that night, I saw her pause at our own hallway wall. The one where we hang pictures. She did not add a frame. She did not move anything. But she stood there for a long time. And I think, in her own way, she made peace with the fact that her voice was part of the family now, too. Not erased. Not ignored. Seen. Time passed. Not fast. Not slow. Just steady, like always. Emma wrote more. Short essays. Sometimes just a page. Sometimes a paragraph. She never made a big deal out of it. But she shared them, one by one. Some were about her brother. Some about the women she had met at work. Some about silence, about duty. About finding herself again in midlife. She never chased a book deal, though one was offered. She never tried to brand herself or build a platform. She did not want fame. She did not want attention. She just wanted not to disappear. And she did not. She stayed exactly who she was. But lighter. More rooted. And, somehow, more visible. She started a little group online for women who wanted to write again after years of not writing. She called it unsaid. The first time I heard the name, I nearly choked up. Because that is what her life had been. For so long. Unsaid. And now, word by word, she was rewriting it. One evening, I sat in the living room, while she typed at the kitchen table. She did not notice me watching. She was humming. An old habit she had not done in years. I felt something deep in my chest then. Not pride. Not even love. Something sharper. A kind of awe. A kind of sorrow, because I realized something. I married a woman who once won a contest. That should have changed her life. But no one ever told her. The tragedy was not just the lost scholarship. The missed trip. The absent stage. It was that her voice, honest, brave, burning with truth, had been left in a drawer. Unread, while she lived a life built on silence. And the miracle was not that she was being heard now. It was that, somehow, after all those years, she still had something left to say. She still believed in the power of a sentence. And now, so did I.